Hello. When was the last time I spoke to you guys? Mayhan. Not the Monday just gone, but the Monday before that. It's Wednesday today? Let's have a look. It's Tuesday. Sick. Got a day up my sleeve. That's awesome. I thought today was Wednesday. So, what I've got to do is I've got to pull the motor down because I hurt my motor at Bihoku with a boost controller issue, and I've killed some ringlands. So this is the motor that came out of my car when I first bought it. It also has blown ringlands. So I've made this bench, cleaned up the shed. I'm super stoked with how it is now. The ground is absolutely disgusting, but I was contemplating concreting it, but I found a big factory that I'm wanting to buy. So instead of putting the money into concreting this, I think I'm just going to focus on trying to put as much away to buy this factory as I can, and then I can start another shop here in Japan, sort of Kamikaze Motorsport Japan chapter. So yes, what I'm going to do now is just pull this down, see how the bores look. If the bores are good, I'm literally just going to put standard pistons back in it, reuse my head gasket with some Hylamar, and reuse my head studs. I will need to buy new main studs for it. And whilst I'm there, if the bore is good, I'm going to just put just new bearings in the bottom end. That way I know that it's all good. Ideally, I'd like to send this away and get it basically done by, there's a couple of companies that do motors here, HKS, Tomei, and Toda, I think. Also a company called Naprec. But I've been told that I can get it basically bored tooth 20 thou oversize with forged pistons rods for a pretty decent price. So what I would preferably do is just send this motor away and get that done. However, D1 Divisional Round 2 is this weekend at Okubiki Circuit. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. That's on the Sunday, but practice is on the Saturday, and I'd like to go there and do some practice before having to have no practice and then have to try qualify like my last round. So, I mean, I've got a day up my sleeve now because I thought today was Wednesday. So what I'm going to do is yank the head off, get everything disassembled on this bench. So yeah, pull the rocker cover off. I'll take the timing chain out, timing chain tensioner out. Then I'll take the cam caps off, cams out, get all that laid out on the bench. Then I'll pull the head off it, also again onto the bench, and then I'll flip the bottom end over, yank the sump off it, and well, realistically, once I get the head off, then I can see how bad the bore is. If the bore is looking good, then yeah, I will continue on. Flip it over, get the sump off it, get the crank out of it, get the rods and pistons out of it, and get it prepped for the new stuff. So yeah, realistically, I won't go and have dinner tonight till this is done. What time is it? It's 10 o'clock actually. It's pretty late. Might go get dinner soon and then come back to this. I'm not sure. See how I'm feeling. But yeah, realistically, I'll make it sort of my priority to get this completely pulled down tonight so I can know exactly what it needs. Then first thing in the morning, I can hopefully ring around and message a couple of people to see if they have the things I need. If they do, then realistically I can get this motor reassembled tomorrow. And then, yeah, not sure if I'll put this head back on it. I don't think I will. I'll put the head on it out of my car. Just because it's already dressed. It's already got manifold on it and turbo side on it and all that sort of stuff, and I can leave that, technically I can leave all that stuff on. I'll just have to clean the head up slightly before I re-Hylamar the head gasket and put that all back together. So you guys are up to date. Hope everyone's well. Hope you enjoy this video. 10:50, so yanked the head off. Bores actually look quite tidy, which is good. A little bit of wearing just on the side of that bore there. Same here, a little bit hard to see in this light. And the same on those other two bores, but realistically, no scoring or dragging or pitting in the bore. And the head actually looks really good as well. Usually just around the combustion chamber, sort of here. If it's like been pre-detonating and pinging, it'll actually be like quite furry in this area. That's usually caused from like a lean tune. But yeah, what I'll do now is just drain the oil a little bit more. I've already got the drain tray under there catching what I can, so I'll tilt the motor to the side, get the rest of that out, and then I'll yank the sump off, get the main caps undone, and then get the cold rod caps off, and then I'll push the pistons and rods out through the top. We'll be able to determine which ring lands are gone on what pistons. That is what I suspect is the issue, because it just had an insane amount of blow by. So we'll literally just yank them out, have a look, and then order some standard pistons to go back into it, some standard bearings, some standard main studs, and I'll give this a tiny little like brush hone. I don't actually have a hone here, so I'll have to order something tonight, just to lightly touch up the bore. And then I was going to plan to reuse these rings, because I don't think I'll be able to find rings in time, nor do I have a ring file here. So ideally it'd be nice to put some rings in it. I might see if Satoshi from Pro Shop Diversion maybe has a ring file that he'd be happy to lend me. I could just buy a ring file, to be honest, if it gets here soon enough. But we're on a time crunch, as usual, guys. So yes, let's drain the sump a little bit more, flip this over, get the sump off, and get these pistons and rods out. What time is it? 11:56. Everything is apart now. I actually had a really good thought. It's me being an absolute stinge, but if I don't undo the main bolts, I don't have to buy new ones. And it also saves me time from taking the rear main steel out, taking the harmonic balancer off. I don't actually have a puller here to pull that off, so I'd need to go pick one of those up tomorrow. And taking the oil pump off, so technically all that can just stay on there. The bearings look good that came out of it, except for number 4. Looks like it is where it was wearing just a little bit, as you can see there. Everything else looks good, but number 4 piston, good. Number 1 piston, good. Number 2, not good at all. There's the crack in the ring line there. It actually cracked the piston ring, which is wild. I've never actually seen that happen before. And then it cracked the bottom oil ring, which is pretty wild. Usually you just see it cracking in this like second compression ring between those two rings there. But yeah, it actually cracked that, then cracked the piston ring, and then cracked actually where the oil ring is. Number 3 is also hectic, so that's been cracked there and cracked there as well. And you can see that they've just run it like that for quite some time, because it's just, once compression gets in there, it kind of just acts as a jet and just like cuts its way through there. I'm actually surprised number 3 bore looks as good as it does. Let me turn this flash on. Like, is that number 3? Yeah, this is number 3 bore here. You can see probably right there where that witness mark is, where that's where the hole would have been, where basically fire was just going straight down there. This is number 2. That is concerning, but I'm definitely just going to leave it. Yeah, in an ideal world, I would be getting this thing bored, like 20 thou, even 10 thou would be fine. Had to take that out. I can't feel it with my fingernails, it's only very slightly there. But yeah, at this stage, all I am going to do is either get a set of pistons. If I can't get a set of pistons in time, I'm hoping to get pistons tomorrow, I'm just going to buy 2 secondhand pistons of Toshi. He said he has a pair. Then basically all I'm going to do is pull the snap rings out of number 2 and 3 rod, push the gudgeon pin out, put the new pistons on, gudgeon pin back in, snap ring back on, and then I'm going to put new big end bearings in it because that number 4 one is looking a little bit worrying. And then I'm literally just going to put it all back together. I'd like to find an S1415 oil pickup because these S13 ones are prone to actually snap that head off. So I might try find one of those in the meantime as well. If I can't, that'll just go back together. But yeah, basically tomorrow I will just face this this block so it's nice and clean, ready for fresh gasket. And then I will reassemble the bottom end with the two new pistons at a minimum and new big end bearings. And then I'll basically just clean the sump up, clean the baffle up, put all that back together, and then realistically I'll pull the motor out of my car and literally put it maybe put it on that stand, and then literally just have it on the stand here, unbolt the head, literally just lift the head up, go straight onto the bench, clean up the gasket, clean up the head, and then Hylamar the gasket, put the gasket on, and then just slap that head straight on with the head studs in it. I'll need to change them out of the other motor as well. And then, yeah, realistically, I'm good to go. I might see if Joshi from Pro Shop Diversion has a metal gasket there. If he does, he's not going to have head studs there. It's not really a thing people do in Japan. I don't know why. They just use factory head bolts. But I might see if he has, some factory head bolts as well as a metal gasket. And if he does, then technically all I need to, because then I still need to take turbo manifold off, which is a little bit annoying. Intake manifold off, also a little bit annoying. Nah, it's going to be easier the other way. Disregard that last comment. It was going to be like, I can just leave everything like on that motor technically assembled, but I do need to pull that motor down anyway because that's going to have done the exact same thing that you see here. So, yeah. That's the plan. Put this bottom end together, pull the head off my other motor, put that head on this bottom end, put this bottom end in the car. And then I won't have the cracked dick that was on there. You know, the cracked dick that I welded up? This one's got a good dick on it. That. Not snapped off. Alright. Decent progress tonight. What time is it? 12:02. I'm going to wash my hands and then I'm going to go eat some dinner. Probably just going to go to the old Joyful as I usually do. I'm going to get home, have a shower, go to sleep. I won't set the alarm for too early, probably 8 o'clock, and then, yeah, I'll get into assembling this bottom end. Ideally, I would like at a minimum to have the motor out of my car tomorrow. And yeah, I'd like to have the motor out of my car tomorrow, the head swapped over, and then the motor sitting on the stand just ready to go back in by tomorrow night. That would be ideal. That way I can put it in on Thursday and make sure I've got enough time to make sure it's running, everything's not leaking, all that sort of stuff. So yes, that's my plan for tomorrow. I'll push as hard as I can to get more done than that if I can. My clutch was slipping a little bit the last time I drove it. Seems like I say that every time I get on here. I will replace the clutch while it's out. Because I'll pull the motor and box together. But yeah, good progress. I'm wrecked. Good morning. It's the next day. Just pulling into Toshi's shop now. Keen as a stick, mate.
What? Keen as a stick, dog.
Oh, g'day. Alright, so I've got my pistons. Massive thank you to Toshi. He had a whole bunch there, and SR's doing typical SR things. There was a few dead, but there was a few good ones. So I've picked those up. I started driving home and then realised that I don't even have a piston ring compressor here. So I'm currently on my way to Astro Products, which is a company that sells like tools and I suppose more.
In 300 meters, your destination will be on the left.
So that I can pick up a piston ring compressor. So I'm going to do that now, and we drove past Baskins, we'll go on there straight after. Alright, let's go to Astro. Let's get this piston ring compressor, then let's get Baskins, then let's get back to the shed and get this motor done.
Your
Just chilling in the driveway here. Okay, back in the shed. So I went to Astro, got myself a ring compressor, a large torque wrench, and also a little quarter drive torque wrench as well, so I can just do the cam caps. But yeah, I'll go get the pistons out of the car and then we can reassemble this bottom end. Okay, just prepped the top of the block, so that's all ready to go now. I actually use a whetstone to prep the top of the block. I clean the majority of it off with a razor blade, and then I spray like inox or WD-40 over the whole surface area. I whetstone the whole thing, and then I use like 3 cans of brake cleaner through the rest of the motor to clean everything out. So now I'm going to just make sure all these rod caps match the rods, and then I'm going to set the ring compressor up and start putting all these pistons and rods back in. Okay, just looking at these pistons and rods next to each other because Toshi was like, dude, I've been told that the S15 pistons and rods are better. So yeah, I figured I'd have a little examination. So this is the S15 piston and rod, this is the S13 piston and rod, roughly 10 years between them, depending on when this one came out. But yeah, straight off the bat, you can see the cutout here for the oil squirter is very different. S13 has this quite sharp. This actually looks like money was saved just by going zhit, rather than coming in and out. It's also, this is curved, this one's flat. And this one's actually got a little bit more of a lip on the backside here and curves in than this one. The piston top looks identical basically. And then in regards to the rod, it looks like they, from Nissan, actually ground in here. Whereas with the S15 rod, it looks like that was just left as a normal casting and they just face the side of the rod there. So nothing else I can really see. I haven't measured them with verniers. At a glance, the S15 rod actually looks smaller in regards to thickness there, but yeah, not that this was anything I wanted to touch base on, but I figured I would. And now you guys know, just as I know. Alright, let's find the 4 best bearings and put them all together. I'm getting a little bit carried away, but I contemplated grabbing the scales out of the kitchen and actually weighing an S15 rod and piston, and weighing an S13 one to see if there's any difference. So I will do that because I'm intrigued. But I've just gotten all the bearings out of all of them. This is the one that was the most worrying. That was number 4. That's all the bearings off my old pistons and rods, and these are the bearings off the new ones I'm going to put in. Looks like something's gone through this one at some stage. Also, this one's got a little bit of debris in it, as well as that one is probably the top to that. That one there's got a little bit of wear, and so is this one. So realistically, it's kind of only this one and that one. I mean, I don't recommend using bearings at all. Anyone with a common sense would just be like, just order some, but yeah, I don't have time. I am wanting to get this in the car realistically tonight and be testing it in the next couple of days. So yes, I'm going to choose the 8 best shells out of all these, put them on the new pistons and rods, and put them in the car. Put them in the motor, should I say. Let's go get these scales and see what these things weigh. Scales are out, set to 0. S13 piston and rod. Alright, this is the S13 rod and piston. Let's put an S15 one on. S15 piston rod. What is that, like 1 gram out? It's pretty crazy. I can't remember what the last one was just a second ago, but it took me a while to balance this. But yeah, that's how close they are. I've just started to do like a final clean on this piston and rod so I can start putting bearings in and getting the car. And I've just noticed actually that the S15 has a provision in the actual, it's got a chamber in the bottom of the, the top of the piston there, that oil can actually go in to cool the bottom of the piston, which is pretty cool. S13 does not have this. So, that is something different we have found. Interesting. Alright, this is number 1. I'm trying to keep all the numbers together. I don't have 1 to 4. I've got 1, 2, 2, 4. But that's okay. These are line honed to suit standard crank size. So it doesn't matter where you put them, as long as you have the matching cam cap to the matching rod, it will go in totally fine. Let's put some shells on this, give it a final clean, put some shells on it, and we'll put number 1 and 4 in, as that's where the crank position is. And then we'll put 2, I suppose, one of the 2s in 2, and one of the 2s in number 3. Okay, got the piston ring compressor out. I absolutely hate using these. What I've got in Australia is the ARP ones. It's just like a really nice tapered one. Free plug for the ARP guys. They don't pay me to advertise their products, but honestly, the ARP piston ring compressor is amazing. This one, the way you have to tighten it, I feel like it really doesn't compress the ring like uniformly. And I also have cut my hands on this because it's basically like just tin, so it's a razor blade. Cut my hands on those plenty of times, but yes, that's out, ready to go. So if you are watching this, don't treat this as an engine building tutorial video, because it's not. However, the tips I can give you is to make sure that everything is immaculate. So what I've done is I've just brake cleaned the bore of the piston. Sorry, let me start again. I've brake cleaned this bore in preparation for this piston, and I've brake cleaned this piston as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the rings up as to where I want them location wise. So many people I've spoken to do it a totally different way. I like to do it with the the secondary combustion ring facing the exhaust side, facing the intake, and the top compression ring facing the exhaust side. And the oil rings I like to set up sort of the oil ring sort of over the side here in the center, and then I like to offset the top and bottom oil ring like separate from each other. Yeah, everyone I speak to does it a totally different way. That's the way I do it. You can either do it that way, or I can look up another YouTube video up of how they do it and do it their way. Doesn't faze me in the slightest. So, what I'm going to do now is oil this right up, just with some engine oil. Oil the bore up, and then I'm going to put a little bit of oil on the bottom of this journal here. And then I'm going to put that piston rod in, then I'm going to turn the motor over and put the rod cap on, nip it up, not torque it. Then I'm going to do number 4 the exact same, number 2 and 3 the exact same, and then I'm going to rotate the motor over for the final time and torque all of them together. So that's the process. Okay, I've just set this piston rod up. I'm actually going to pull it back out because I wanted to show you guys something. I've done this before, very silly mistake. See how this has a cutout in here for the squirter? make sure you put that in the right way. Otherwise, you'll smash that squirter off the first time you rotate it around. Yes, don't work on cars when you're tired, guys. So, just going to set this piston up to go in, make sure it's nice and straight. Hard to do with my left hand while I'm filming. There we go. And then I'm just going to make sure that the riding is nice and straight on there. Make sure that's flush without trying to cut my hand. Again, hate using these. And then I always use just like a soft, you could use this. You can use your hand too if you want. It's just going to be easier for me to show you this way. And I like to be quick with this movement, especially with these piston ring compressors, because yeah, they're a dog to use. Again, make sure everything's lubricated up. I'm just going to push this straight down, and because it is going straight down, I don't need to worry about the rod location. As you can see, number 4 is straight down. So number 4 is also going to be straight down. So I'm just going to push this down until it houses. Then I'm going to move the piston ring compressor out of the way and then push it down slowly until it locates on that first journal. And then I'm going to flip it over and throw the rod cap on. See if I can do this one bang with you guys watching. Not fast enough. Alright, I might need to start again. Alright, I'll be back. Okay, thankfully I didn't need to reset up. I just had to put the phone down and give it a little bit more of an oomph. And now it is in. So as I said, I'm just going to push this down. There we go. And then I'm going to flip this over and show you what that looks like underneath. We're upside down now. This is what we look like underneath. So I'm just going to put a little dab of oil on that. Rotate this harmonic balancer back slightly. And then I'll put that rod cap on, nip it up, and then we'll do number 4. So I've got a little bit of remnants of oil still on this. Usually I would use assembly lube for all this sort of stuff, but I don't have any of that here either. So SR's rod cap goes tang to tang. So there's tang here on the bearing, tang on that side. That way you're not looking down the side of the cylinder wall being like, is this number 1? I think that's number 1. Make sure it's matching. So yeah, it's literally just tang to tang. Set that on, and then I'll go get those rod cap bolts and nip that up. And then literally just repeat that process. I'm not going to film the rest. I've done it once. You don't need to see it done 3 more times. So I'll come back to you once all the pistons and rods are in. Okay, I was lying when I said I was going to come back to you. So what I've done is, like in the final clean, obviously these are just dry because I've used brake cleaner on them. I don't actually like to put them on the rod cap like that. I like to dab a little bit of oil on the inside of there. That way it just gives it a nice surface to nip up. I'm not sure if you guys have ever assembled a motor, whoever is watching this, but when you do that dry, you'll get this really dirty metal on metal sort of screeching, like cracking sound. You hear it with, I've heard it with cam caps coming out. Heard it with a lot of stuff, just dry metal on metal, which is, yeah, just what I want to avoid. So a little bit of oil on the insides of those will help that seat properly and help that torque up nice and evenly, rather than getting this jousting that you will get once you start getting into the higher range of torque. Torque me on. All right, I'll come back to you after this is all done. Cannot stress enough how much I freaking hate this thing. So I didn't go back and check the timestamp, but it's probably taken me half an hour to get this second piston in, just because the setup on that thing, just in regards to as you push it down, the way it moves from that into the cylinder, it just, the ring always just gets caught up. You know, I'm sure people that use them all the time probably swear by them. They're like, they're the best thing ever. But I used one of those for like the first 5 years of me doing this sort of stuff. Hated it every time. Bought the ARP one, and literally you just slide the piston and rod straight down into the sleeve, seat the sleeve onto the block, push the piston slightly further down so it actually starts to locate inside the bore, and then just with your hand, just, I'm gonna order another pair of them, even though I've got an 86 and an 86.5 in Australia, just to show you when the next time I put a motor together how much easier it is. I haven't actually shown you how hard this is, but I assure you it's so annoying. So that's number 4 done. Let's do number 2 and 3. And then let's get on to fixing up the rest of this stuff. And then get the car, I don't know where. I was going to say in here, but if you guys remember the last time I tried to take the motor out here, the engine crane kind of just fell into the ground there. So yes, I'm not sure what I'll do now. I might ask Toshi if he's happy for me to use the concrete out the front of his workshop, just to get my other motor out. Yeah, I don't know. We've got lots to do before that, so let's finish assembling this. Also, can't stress enough that if you are doing this at home, wherever you are doing it, you should be proper focused on what you're doing. The amount of times that I've second guessed whether I've put a rod cap on the right way, and all this sort of stuff, and I wasn't even distracted then. If you've got distractions around you, people around you asking you questions, or you're talking shit to friends, you know, unless you've done this a million times and it's like muscle memory, A, you don't need to be taking my advice, and B, you will know what you're doing. But this is a tedious process, guys. Engine building, I don't think, is a hard thing by any means. Torque specs are literally written down, you know, in a service manual. Again, that's another thing I'd like to touch base on is, like, don't get your torque specs off some random forum on the internet. Get your torque specs, go download an actual workshop manual for the car that your motor came out of. It will give you a complete breakdown of the motor, and it will tell you the exact torque specs they need to be. You know, I have, you know, in the past seen friends be like, oh, what's the torque spec for this? Just jump online, do a little Google search, and it pops up like it's X. But you know, you just can't trust that information. What you can trust is a booklet that Nissan, well, a book that Nissan literally released, and will have the exact torque specs it's meant to have. So another thing that I can't stress enough is, don't get your torque specs off the internet. Get them out of a service manual. You know, these service manuals most of the time are free, a little bit hard to find at times. And if they're not free, they're so cheap. And then you can download it and you've got it forever. Share it between your friends. But yeah, that's just one more piece of advice. Let's get number 2 and 3 together. And then let's finalize putting the rest of the stuff on this motor. And then yeah, let's work out what we're going to do about getting the motor and gearbox out of my car. All right, all pistons and rods are in. So I've just looked at a workshop manual that I have for an S14, and torque specs are first torque spec 14 to 16 newton meters, second torque spec 38 to 44 newton meters. However, you're not going to take my word for that because you don't listen to people on the internet. So you're going to go download a workshop manual and you're going to double check that yourself. So I'm going to torque these up, and then I'll clean the sumps, clean that top sump pan, clean the bottom sump pan. Then I'll put the top sump. Actually, before I put the top sump on, I've got to put the baffle in, and also need to put the oil pickup in. As I said, I wanted to get an S14 or 15 one, but that hasn't happened. So yeah, I'll clean up that baffle, clean up the pickup, put those on, and then I'll clean up the top sump, put that on, clean up the baffle for the bottom sump, put that on, and then I will finally put the bottom sump pan on. And then technically this bottom end is ready to rock. Okay, bottom baffle is on, pickup's on. Just cleaned out the top sump. Just to give you guys an idea of how much brake cleaner I've used to make sure everything is clean. I think that's my 5th can. Squeaky clean is what you want. So everything is super clean in here now. To be honest, I would have loved to have cleaned the block on the outside properly, give it a really good degrease, and then get some like some soft brushes and really get into all the little pockets and all that sort of stuff to make the block look like a new block. But once more, time permitting, I'm hopefully going to talk to you guys one day in the near future and be like, I'm doing this now because I have the time to do it. Yeah, it's been super busy since I've been back in Japan, but I'm hoping it's going to calm down sometime in the near future. It's been really good over the last like 2 weeks to kind of just be totally disconnecting, not really doing cars too much, and just focusing on getting my house, you know, in order, getting the garage in order. I'm stoked that I've been able to get in here and get all that organized. And it's also been really good for me mentally to have a break from cars because, man, you guys know the absolute missions I've been through, and I can assure you it takes a toll on me mentally. So yeah, it's good to just have a good disconnect and spend some time just with my own thoughts. But moving forward, divisional this Sunday, hoping to test the car Friday. Practice is on Saturday at Okibuiki. And that will be really good to do some driving there before I need to qualify. So I'm really looking forward to actually just driving a track, which would be really nice, new track. And then divisional on Sunday, head up to Bridget's place on Monday, and then basically spend Tuesday, Wednesday there, then head down to Suzuka Twin with Jake for the next round of Formula Drift. And then I don't have anything on for like a month, and I am so excited for that time to just disconnect, paint the 180. I'm really excited to paint the 180 and make it mine. You know, that car hasn't really felt like mine. It hasn't looked cool enough that I'm like, oh, it's sick, like I love it. I've kind of just been like, it's a seat time car, who cares? But I really want to spend some time in on getting it sort of to where I'm happy and where I can look at it and be like, that's my car and I'm stoked. So yeah, I've decided on color combo. I'm going to go gunmetal grey bottom to basically where the doors are. And then what I would like to do is get carbon bonnet, carbon roof skin, carbon trunk skin, and then do like a like heavy flake. I wouldn't say heavy actually, because I want to still see the carbon under there, but maybe get some Tropical Glitz actually sent me some Interstellar Red Pearl. So that could be cool. I might mix that in with the gunmetal as well, but I've also got this Onyx Black flake that I was contemplating putting with the gunmetal, which will still keep the darkness of it, but I'll have some flake in there as well. Really keen to spray the engine bay, really keen to spray the rocker cover, really keen to spray the cage, really keen to spray interior parts. And I'm really keen to sort of just make that car a little bit more stylish so that I can really enjoy it and love it. That car's been nothing but a battle, as you guys know, but yeah. Going to keep chipping away at this. What time is it? It's 8:39. I'm going to get the sumps. See, I'll get the sumps on. And then I'll go and eat some dinner. I think I'm just going to eat cheeky macas tonight. So, yes, let's keep going with this, and I'll talk to you guys shortly. Basically back together now. Just been cleaning everything and assembling everything. Just got the final piece to put on, which is the sump pan. I've just got to clean that out. Scrape all the gasket goo off it. I've cleaned up this surface as best I can. And then we'll chuck that on and seal it up. And then I'll flip it over just so I can run you guys down with how it's all looking. And then go eat some dinner and call it a night. Let's keep going. Sump pan's on. That's the bottom end ready to go. Keen as a bean. Seems like a lot of work just for a standard bottom end, but standard bottom ends are good for 400, so yeah, stoked. I am going to... Am I going to have a shower first, or am I going to go to dinner first? I might have a shower, and then I'll go to dinner, and then I'll jump into bed. 10:05. Not feeling rushed, which is good. There's certainly a difference between being efficient and rushing, and all I've been doing is rushing. So it feels good to just, take my time. So yes, it's good to go. So now I just need to work out where I'm going to yank my motor out, because I really don't want to do it on this concrete here, especially in regards to putting it on jack stands and laying under it to undo gearbox cross member and tail shaft and dragging the engine crane around on this crap. It's just yeah, it's not fun. So yes, let's brainstorm that tonight. I'll either message Toshi, or I'll message Benki and Ben from Drift Japan Tours and see if I can use their shed. But yes, leaps and bounds. Stoked. Let's have a shower and go to bed, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.